A quiet moment changes everything. It doesn't arrive with an argument, a dramatic goodbye, or a life-changing event that everyone can see. It begins deep inside, when a person who has spent years putting everyone else first suddenly realizes that no amount of kindness can force someone to value it. For many people with strong empathy, this is the moment life starts dividing into two chapters. One chapter is filled with endless apologies, constant sacrifices, and the exhausting need to keep everyone happy. The other begins with a single decision to stop carrying responsibilities that were never theirs in the first place. Most people believe empaths suffer simply because they care too much. That explanation sounds comforting, but it only tells part of the story. The deeper reason often remains hidden beneath years of habits, expectations, and relationships built on silent compromises. Sometimes the greatest burden isn't having a kind heart. It's believing that your worth depends on how much of yourself you can give away. Many highly empathetic people spend years becoming the emotional support system for everyone around them. They listen without being heard. They forgive without receiving the same grace. They solve problems that don't belong to them. They carry emotional weight that no one ever asked them to carry, yet somehow feel guilty when they finally put it down. Over time, pleasing others stops feeling like a choice and starts feeling like a responsibility. The frightening part is that this pattern can become so normal that it no longer feels unusual. It simply becomes life. Then one day, almost without warning, the pattern breaks. A boundary is set, a request is declined. An apology that would normally come never arrives. The response from others is often more revealing than anyone expects. Some people understand and respect the change. Others grow distant. Some become frustrated, while a few react with surprising anger. The person who spent years trying to avoid conflict suddenly discovers that peace was never the real reason certain relationships survived. In many cases, they survived because one person kept sacrificing, while the other kept receiving. This realization can be painful, but it also opens the door to a truth that many people spend their entire lives avoiding. Healthy relationships don't depend on endless self-sacrifice. They grow through mutual respect, honesty, and boundaries that protect both people instead of only one. Modern psychology has explored people-pleasing, emotional boundaries, and the effects of chronic self-neglect for years, revealing that constantly seeking approval often leads to emotional exhaustion rather than genuine connection. The very behavior that seems to keep relationships together can quietly weaken self-worth over time. In this video, you'll discover why so many deeply empathetic people fall into the habit of pleasing everyone around them, why saying yes can slowly become an emotional prison, and why the moment they finally stop trying to earn acceptance often reveals truths they never expected to see. We'll explore the hidden psychology behind people-pleasing, the emotional cost of carrying everyone else's burdens, the surprising reactions that appear when healthy boundaries replace constant sacrifice, and why losing certain relationships can sometimes become the beginning of finding genuine peace. You'll also learn why emotional maturity doesn't mean becoming cold or uncaring. It means learning that compassion for others should never require abandoning compassion for yourself. Along the way, we'll uncover lessons that many people only recognize after years of emotional exhaustion. Lessons that quietly transform not only relationships, but the way a person understands love, respect, and self-worth. The final part of this journey may be the most important because it reveals a truth that changes how many people see their entire past. Once that truth becomes clear, old patterns begin to lose their power, and decisions that once felt impossible become surprisingly natural. The goal isn't to stop caring about people. The goal is to stop believing that love must always come at the cost of your own peace. That single shift can change friendships, family relationships, romantic partnerships, and most importantly, the relationship you have with yourself. If you've ever wondered why kindness sometimes seems to attract disappointment instead of appreciation, or why setting one simple boundary can completely change the way people treat you, you'll want to stay with us until the very end, because every part of this discussion builds toward a powerful conclusion that brings the entire picture together. Welcome to the channel. If you enjoy thoughtful conversations about empathy, emotional growth, healthy boundaries, and the psychology behind human behavior, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss our future videos. Now, Let's begin uncovering what really happens when an empath stops pleasing everyone and finally starts seeing the truth. Many people who are deeply empathetic never wake up one morning and decide they will spend their lives taking care of everyone else. It happens so quietly that they hardly notice it. Little by little, they become the person everyone depends on. They are the first to listen when someone is hurting. They remember birthdays, check in after difficult days, calm arguments before they grow bigger, and somehow always know when someone needs encouragement. Friends call them during emotional crises. Family members expect them to understand without asking. Coworkers rely on them to keep the peace when tension fills the room. Over time, this role feels so natural that they stop questioning it. Being supportive becomes part of who they are. Helping others feels meaningful, and there is nothing wrong with kindness by itself. The problem begins when kindness slowly changes into responsibility. Instead of helping because they genuinely want to, they begin helping because they feel they must. If someone is upset, they believe it is their job to fix it. If someone is disappointed, they immediately wonder what they did wrong. If two people argue, they step into the middle, hoping to carry the emotional weight for everyone involved. Without realizing it, they stop living their own emotional life and begin managing everyone else's. This invisible role becomes even stronger because people naturally appreciate someone who is always available. Compliments often reinforce the pattern. They are told they are so understanding, so patient, so dependable, and so selfless. At first, these words feel encouraging. They seem like proof that kindness matters. But there is another side to this praise that often goes unnoticed. Sometimes people begin appreciating the service more than the person. They grow comfortable, expecting endless understanding without offering the same care in return. The empath rarely notices because they are focused on keeping everyone comfortable. They convince themselves that giving a little more will eventually create balance. They believe that if they continue showing love, patience, and understanding, others will naturally respond the same way. Yet life does not always work like that. Some people appreciate generosity. Others simply become accustomed to receiving it. As months turn into years, something subtle begins to change inside. Self-worth slowly becomes connected to usefulness. Feeling valuable depends on being needed. A quiet voice begins asking difficult questions. If I stop helping, will people still want me around? If I cannot solve everyone's problems, will they still care about me? If I finally choose myself, will they think I have changed? These questions rarely appear all at once. They develop slowly through countless everyday moments. Every time approval follows sacrifice, the brain quietly learns a lesson. Giving earns acceptance. Pleasing avoids conflict. Saying yes keeps relationships stable. Before long, these beliefs become automatic. They no longer feel like choices. They simply feel like facts. This is why saying yes becomes almost effortless. Someone asks for another favor. Yes. Someone needs emotional support late at night. Yes. Someone cancels plans repeatedly but wants another chance. Yes. Someone crosses a boundary. Yes again. Each agreement seems small on its own, yet together they create a life where personal needs slowly disappear into the background. Free time becomes filled with solving problems that never belong to them. Rest feels selfish. Boundaries feel uncomfortable. Taking care of themselves feels like they are letting someone down. Even when exhausted, they continue smiling because saying no creates a feeling they struggle to explain. It brings guilt. Not ordinary guilt, but the deep fear that disappointing someone could damage the relationship forever. Psychology offers an interesting explanation for this pattern. People-pleasing is often connected to the desire for safety. For some, safety means avoiding conflict. For others, it means avoiding rejection, criticism, or abandonment. These patterns can begin early in life without anyone realizing it. A child may learn that being quiet prevents arguments. Another may discover that becoming helpful earns praise and affection. Someone else may grow up believing that keeping everyone happy is the easiest way to avoid tension inside the home. These lessons are rarely taught directly. They are learned through repeated experiences. The brain adapts by choosing behaviors that reduce emotional discomfort. Years later, those same behaviors continue long after the original situation has disappeared. Friendships can strengthen this pattern even further. Many empathetic people become known as the dependable one. They answer every message. They listen for hours without interrupting. They forgive quickly. They rarely ask for anything in return. At first, these qualities create strong connections. But not every relationship is balanced. Some people begin taking more than they give. They expect understanding without offering understanding. They expect patience without showing patience. They become comfortable receiving emotional support, while forgetting that the person providing it also has fears, struggles, and difficult days. Since the empath dislikes creating conflict, they stay silent. They tell themselves it is not worth mentioning. They believe harmony is more important than honesty. Yet, silence has a hidden cost. Every unspoken feeling quietly adds another weight to an already heavy heart. This is why many deeply empathetic people become emotional peacekeepers. They constantly monitor the mood of everyone around them. They notice changes in facial expressions, body language, and tone of voice before others even recognize them. If someone seems upset, they immediately begin wondering how to fix it. If tension appears in the room, they search for ways to calm it. While this ability can create compassion and understanding, it can also become exhausting when every uncomfortable emotion feels like a personal responsibility. They start believing that peace depends entirely on them. If everyone else is happy, they feel successful. If someone is unhappy, they assume they have failed. The difficulty is that this responsibility never truly ends. There will always be another disagreement to settle, another person to comfort, another crisis to solve, another disappointment to soften. Slowly, emotional energy begins disappearing. The change is almost invisible at first. They still laugh. They still encourage others. They still appear calm on the outside. But internally they feel tired in a way that sleep cannot fix. They wake up already carrying emotional weight that does not belong to them. Every conversation feels heavier. Every favor requires a little more effort. Yet they continue because stopping feels unfamiliar. Eventually, emotional exhaustion begins speaking through quiet frustration. Resentment rarely arrives as anger. It usually begins as disappointment. They notice that people only call when they need something. They realize few people ask how they are doing, without changing the subject back to themselves. They start wondering why they always seem available, while no one seems available for them. These thoughts create confusion, because they genuinely love helping others. They do not want to become selfish or uncaring. But another part of them starts asking an uncomfortable question. If kindness leaves me feeling empty all the time, am I practicing kindness or am I abandoning myself? This internal struggle grows stronger with every passing month. They continue apologizing even when they have done nothing wrong. They continue carrying conversations that others have already left. They continue fixing problems they never created. Outwardly, very little changes. Inwardly, everything is changing. The exhaustion becomes impossible to ignore. It slowly becomes louder than the guilt that kept them trapped for so long. One day, perhaps after years of silent sacrifice, they answer a request differently. Instead of immediately saying yes, they pause. Then they say one simple word, no. There is no long explanation, no endless apology, no desperate attempt to make everyone understand. Just a calm boundary. At first, nothing dramatic seems to happen. Life continues. The world keeps turning. But then something unexpected begins unfolding. People's reactions reveal truths that endless years of people-pleasing had carefully hidden. Some individuals quietly respect the new boundary without hesitation. They understand that everyone deserves limits. Others seem confused because they have never seen this side before. A few become irritated. Some accuse the empath of changing, becoming distant, or no longer caring. Others suddenly disappear altogether. These reactions often reveal something important. Healthy relationships usually adapt to healthy boundaries. Unhealthy relationships often resist them because they benefited from the absence of those boundaries. This realization can be painful because it forces the empath to question relationships they once believed were built entirely on love and mutual respect. Instead, they begin seeing that some connections survived only because one person constantly sacrificed while the other constantly received. Boundaries do not destroy genuine relationships. They simply reveal which relationships were strong enough to survive honesty. And once that truth becomes visible, it is almost impossible to return to seeing people the same way. Every journey toward emotional freedom begins with one simple realization. Kindness should never require you to disappear. Caring for others is one of the most beautiful qualities a person can have, but it loses its meaning when it comes at the cost of your own peace, your own voice, and your own identity. The truth is, people-pleasing may look like love on the surface, but lasting relationships are built on something much stronger. They are built on honesty, mutual respect, trust, and healthy boundaries. The moment you stop living for everyone's approval is often the moment you begin seeing people for who they truly are. Some will celebrate your growth. Some will quietly drift away. Others may resist the new version of you because they were more comfortable with the version that never said no. As painful as that can feel, it is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of living with authenticity instead of obligation. Perhaps the greatest lesson is this: the people who are truly meant to stay in your life will never fear the real you. They won't expect endless sacrifices to prove your love. They won't make you feel guilty for protecting your time, your energy, or your heart. Instead, they'll be grateful that you trust them enough to show your true self. Real love doesn't ask you to become smaller. Real friendship doesn't depend on your silence. Real respect doesn't disappear the moment you create a boundary. Those who genuinely care about you will want you to be healthy, peaceful, and emotionally whole, not endlessly exhausted trying to earn their acceptance. So before this video ends, take one quiet moment to reflect on your own life. Where are you giving away your peace just to keep someone else comfortable? Which relationships allow you to be yourself? And which ones only seem to work when you constantly put your own needs aside? Sometimes the most life-changing decision isn't adding more people to your life. It's finally giving yourself permission to stop chasing approval and start choosing peace. Because the strongest heart isn't the one that carries everyone's burdens forever. It's the one that learns when to help, when to step back, and when to protect the kindness that makes it so special. If this message touched your heart or gave you a new perspective, don't let it end here. Help us reach more people who may need this reminder today by giving this video a like and sharing it with someone who is always putting everyone else before themselves. And if you're passionate about empathy, emotional growth, healthy boundaries, and discovering the quiet strength that comes from living truthfully, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss our future videos. We'd also love to hear your story. Have you ever discovered who truly stood by you after you stopped pleasing everyone? Share your experience in the comments below. Your words could be the encouragement that someone else has been searching for. Until next time, take care of your heart, protect your peace, and never forget that the people who deserve a place in your life will never ask you to lose yourself just to keep them.